Hello, my name is Josh, and I'm a watchaholic. Welcome to Horology Insanity.
What is up, my watch friends? So, check this out. Today, we're going to be looking at a couple of Christopher Wards. Now, what's interesting about this is this one here on the right, I bought and technically co-bought it with a friend of mine. So we kind of share custody, share ownership with it, and I'm getting ready to send it out to him. But this one came in on tour. And so I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Let's do a review of both of these because you'll notice they are extremely similar, yet they have a couple of slight differences. And so I just want to kind of point that out. This one here we got during the sale. If you keep an eye on Christopher Ward's website, they will periodically just put stuff up on their clearance page. And so sometimes it's nearly new items, that they had maybe sent around. Oh, like for a tour, for example, like they didn't send me this, but somebody else did. But this one, whenever it goes back to Christopher Ward, it'll probably be put up in the sale. They'll clean it all up and everything. I've bought a couple of things from their sales, and it's always been good. They're nearly new stuff. Unless they disclose some kind of wear or something like that, usually they're pretty clean. And so, anyway, you can check that out. Now, when we look at these watches, what I want to do in this video is, like I said, just kind of do a review of these. But in the next video, we're going to compare not only these two, but I've got some other watches over here that I want to compare them to that are like not Christopher Ward. Well, a couple of them are Christopher Ward. I have several. Another note, when you go down to the bottom of Christopher Ward's website, you might see it in Great Britain pounds to start out. You can go down to the very bottom of the website and they have a currency selector. And so for me, I'm in the US. You can scroll down the bottom, select USD or whatever currency you want, and it'll kind of translate these retail prices and things for you. So for example, out of the gate, this one retailed at $910. Now we bought it on sale for much less than that. And so again, check out the clearance page and you'll see what I'm talking about. This one currently retails at $965. Now, I will say that's pretty steep. $900 is a lot for a watch. You get up into that $900, you get around that $1,000 price tier, and you can get some amazing watches for that price. I still think you're going to see it in the next video. I still think the best $1,000 watch, if you can shop it right, is a Zen 104. If that suits your aesthetics and other things like that, that's a great bang for your buck. But I don't want to say that to kind of downgrade or denigrate Christopher Ward. I think Christopher Ward gets a bad rap a lot. The more time that I spend experiencing Christopher Ward watches, the more I like them. And so I think that, you can have personal taste. Like everybody hates the name on the dial. And that doesn't bother me. Like if you have a personal preference like that, like that's cool. You can be like, I'll never buy one of those because I don't want that name and the placement of it at the 9 o'clock. That's cool. But what you can't do is you can't say they're not good quality, because they are good quality, right? That's the thing that gets me. The more I handle these, the more I realize these are really good quality watches, especially at their price points. Now, if we keep going back and forth, you can say Christopher Ward's, customer service, or specifically their service department, is not as good as they could be. And that would be true. And you could also complain a little bit about the QC. I'm in a couple of Christopher Ward groups, and man, some things that I see come out, like if it's screwed down case back, like they might be missing screws out of it or something. I've seen some weird QC issues both come out of their new stock and out of their repair service center. And so that's kind of interesting to see. But at face value, the overall watch is pretty decent. So let's get into these. We talked a little bit about pricing. They are both 41 millimeter. Now, here's what's weird. I'm holding them up to the camera. The one on the left looks bigger than the one on the right, but that is a visual thing. They are both, and let's get the caliber out just to make sure I'm not crazy and that I didn't get sent a watch I'm not aware of. Yeah, see, they're both 41 mil, 40.9. When you grab that, let me make sure those bracelets don't clink. Y'all know me and my OCD. I don't want that touching. But yeah, see 41.3, 41.4. So if nothing else, this is actually measuring a hair bigger. I think it might be catching the bezel. It's weird to see that. I got them on the same plane. So, but it's giving the impression that it's a little bigger. I'm guessing it's because of the dial layout and the round indices versus the sticks on the right. Other than that, the handsets and everything are the same. The colors are much more similar in person than they're showing on camera and in the lights. This one here looks like a darker blue, but in person, these are the exact same color blue. Now, I will say the lume on this left one is a little lighter. It's like a half a shade lighter than the kind of yellowish tint that this one has. And so that is noticeable in person, but the actual shades of blue on these are the same on both. Now, another reason this could be wearing a little bit bigger than it is, or looking a little bit bigger than it is because you'll notice on the bezel here, it does not have the minute marks the way that the one on the right does. And so, again, we can talk about pros and cons of aesthetics. I like them both. I think that I would like it the most if I had this clean bezel from the one on the left on this here on the right. And that would kind of mix, match, and pair. I also kind of wish it had the 12 and the 6, but with the round indices that that one has. So that would be kind of a mix and match if I were to kind of create my own watch. That might be what I would do. The date there doesn't stand out too bad. You'll notice it's a black date wheel, so it's not actually a color match blue. It is a black date wheel, but it blends in fairly well. And you'll notice the 9, they have the shortened indice there too to take into account the logo. And so the balance on the dial's not bad with this, even with the date function. But I like, and I usually like a date on a watch, but over here, I like the aesthetic of the longer indices. I like the no date. I wish maybe it was the 12 and 6 with the round. That would be cool. That's just me. What do you think? Drop down in the comments. Do you like either one of these or none? Or if you could mix and match, what might you come up with? So let's talk about real quick about like their similarities and differences. So I talked about how they're both 41 mil watches. The lug to lug is 47.1, right? From what's they call it, tip to tip. And so that's going to wear pretty well for most folks. Now keep in mind that Christopher Ward makes different sizes of their watches, and I've got some other ones. You'll see them in the next video for the comparison, but I think it's like 38, 39 mil, and then 41, and then like a 43. And so depending on how big your wrist size is, you can get the size case that you think will best fit you or fit into your sweet spot. I found that I'm good with these 41s, and I've got a couple of 43s, and I like them both. My sweet spot is 40 to 42 mil. And so, but even the 43s don't wear big, I don't think. And I've got an 8-inch wrist, and so that works well for me. I will say these 41s wear a little sleeker than the 43s, but that I think is to be expected. And we'll take a look at it. It's both in the case, shape, and design, and the thickness, and we'll see that in the next video. But just so you know, this really is like if you have the Goldilocks version, right? This 41 mil, I think, is just right. So that's my take on it. Now, here's one thing you'll notice here. They're 22 mil straps on both of them. They both come on a bracelet, but I do have the strap for this. This is the Christopher Ward strap, and I will do a third video after the comparison that shows you swapping this out because these have quick release tabs on the bracelet, and so we'll go over the bracelet and swapping these out on another one. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, this strap is nice, and it's like a perfect pairing for these. So if you get the blue, if you get it on the bracelet, so you know my rule, always buy it on the bracelet. But if you get the bracelet, go ahead and add on that strap as a side item, and you will appreciate maybe being able to go back and forth with those. So that's my take. Both of them are 11 mil thick. So let me see if I can get this turned around. Okay, they're both 11 mil thick, and here's why that matters. This one is an automatic. This has the Sellita SW200 movement. So you can hack and hand wind it, but it is an automatic. When you shake it, can you hear that rotor noise? Let me see. it'll spin and it'll power it up. And a lot of people like that. If you want to, you can put it on a winder, do whatever you want to with it. You just wear it throughout the day. It'll keep it charged. This one, on the other hand, has the Sellita SW210 movement, and it is a hand wind. So when I shake it, there is no rotor noise. Now, the trick with that is you then have to wind it every day. You'll notice that both of these do not have screw-down crowns. So both of them, just right out the gate, I can just wind them, right? Both of them. Not a screw-down crown. So some folks, that might be a con for some folks, especially if you're worried about that popping out. I know a friend of mine had mentioned he was wearing one of these, and I don't know if it was from putting his hand in his pocket or what he did, but it actually popped the crown out on him, and so it stopped his time. And so his watch wasn't accurate when he checked it, and he had to reset it later. So I don't know. I've not experienced that, but then again, I don't really I wear gym shorts all day long. So, it depends on maybe what you're wearing and what you're doing. They both do have 150 meters of water resistance, so I don't think that not having a screw down crown really affects that, even though, depending on how they did it, they might be able to squeeze it to 200 if they did that. But that's really the big difference. Now, the other reason that that's a big difference, I think, is because usually hand wind watches are slimmer than automatics because you don't have to compensate for the rotor. So let's do a quick check on both of these. They say that they come in at 11.55 thick. I'm measuring this at 11.3, 11.4, right? Oh, am I on it? Let's see here. Oh no, 11.6. So maybe they're right. 11.6. Okay. And that's with the automatic. Now let's take a look at this hand wind real quick and come down on it. It is the exact same. So I think what they're doing is, in the production line, they are using the exact same cases, bracelets, crowns, etc., and then just doing different bezel inserts, different movements, and different dials. Now, the handsets and everything, like I said, those are the same on both. And the bezels, like I said, they're the same. They're just different inserts. So, take that for what it's worth, especially when you're going through. Look at the different options that you have. Now, I did ponder before. I've always wondered about this. I have had more success and more accuracy out of hand wind watches than I have automatics. And this might be an example proving that hypothesis to be somewhat true. So, for example, the hand wind here has a 42-hour power reserve. You'll notice it does not have a date, and it does both of them beat at 2800. However, this one is rated at a plus minus 15 seconds per day, where this one with the automatic movement is rated at plus minus 20 seconds per day. Now, could both of them operate in better specs than that? Maybe. Could they operate in worse specs than that? Maybe. You get it magnetized or something, right? But I didn't put them on the time grapher, so I don't know. But I do think it's interesting, though, that even the rating, the hand wind is rated to be more accurate than the auto. So I'm curious, again, if there's any watch nerds that know, is that a thing? I'd love to know down in the comment section. Are hand winds traditionally more accurate watches? Because that's been my experience. Like I said, both of them beat at 28,800, which is your standard stuff. Now, I will say the auto has a power reserve of 38 hours, and whether you'll notice the difference between 38 and 42, I doubt it, right? I highly doubt it. You're going to end up, if you wear this every day, you're probably going to wind it every morning when you get up or every night before bed. If you wear this one, you're going to wear it, it'll stay wound, or you're going to put it on a winder. Or just let it die and charge it up later, just by hand winding it. So I don't think you're going to notice those kinds of differences. And I honestly don't think you're going to notice the plus minus 5 variation on their ratings. I don't think you're going to notice that. I think when you wear these, you're going to notice them both to be, accurate enough. So that's my thought. They both do have this sweet boxed sapphire crystal. Now, the AR coating on these is, it's okay. I think it could be a little bit better. Let me try to get that in my studio lights. You can see that the way the lights bounce off the hands, that it is legible because of that dark dial. So the contrast still makes it legible even in kind of full light there. But I do think that maybe a little bit more AR would have been nice. You know that I love box and dome crystals. You know that I love the distortion that it gives you on the end when you're looking at the edge of the dial, and so all that's cool. As far as lume goes, and I'll try to do a lume shot real quick. It says that it uses SLN, and I almost misread that and misread it. I thought maybe it said Saturday Night Live, but no, SLN, old radium lume, and so you can see it's got that old vintage aesthetic. Right? I told you about how, and you can get a little bit in camera, and I don't know if that's because this one over here has, let me zoom in on that real quick. So let's get in on this. You can see how this one, with kind of its applied markers, has a silver edging, to where this one, can't tell if they're applied or not. They look painted, but I actually think they're raised. But they don't have that edging. The 6 and 12 are definitely painted on. But the indices, you can see those are actually kind of it's either sandwich and they're cut through, or they're applied. But yeah, so I don't know if that gives it a little bit of a difference there when you look at them side by side. The edging on this around the indices. But the lume is a hair lighter on the automatic over here on the left than it is this. But let's do a lume shot, and oh, that's actually noticeably different. Oh, wow. And let me see. Okay, so it's coming across the camera a little bit brighter than what it looks like in person. So let me just kind of take that into account. Again, I'm filming in the day. I've got all the shades drawn and whatnot. But you can see that the application of lume on this left automatic version, the new version, is significantly better than the one on the right. Now, I'm curious, if I give them a charge, would it still appear that way? I'm doing a little test here. We're live on camera. You can see that if I give them a charge, then they equal out a little bit more, but I'd still say the one on the left is significantly brighter. Even in person, that's not just coming across on camera that way. The hands on this one, on the one on the right, are pretty good. But the dial, yeah, not the lume application on this left one with the round indices is much, much better. Okay, so check back in. Next video will be a comparison. One after that, we'll be talking about this sweet bracelet, the quick adjust clasp that it comes with, and swapping it out for the leather strap. Until we talk again, please remember what really matters, and that's not watches. Keep the insanity sane, my friend.